Hi, this is James from OEC, formerly known as OKEx chain, and you are listening to OKEx. OKEx is a podcast where we talk about blockchain, crypto, DeFi, GameFi, technology, markets and people, and everything else related to them. A quick reminder for everyone. OEC is a public permissionless blockchain that no one fully controls. Anyone can create projects and use applications from anywhere in the world. OKEx can neither control nor endorse any projects on OEC. OKEx is produced for education purposes only, and this podcast is produced and distributed by OEC. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of OKEx by OEC podcast. Today we dig deeper into Symbiosis Finance, a multichain liquidity enabler. But first, we have news update. So far on OEC, 143 projects are launched, with TVL of $236 million. Two new projects were launched last week, Prism and BlockSwap. Prism Network gives users and projects the freedom to choose the communities and ecosystems that they want to be a part of through a suite of cross-chain tools, including their flagship product, the Prism Bridges. Bugged Finance is a set of tools to make you a better DeFi trader. Use BlockSwap, multichain DEX aggregator, to trade tokens from 20 plus DEXs across OEC, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Kronos, Phantom, and Avalanche. Island Swap, which went online 10 days ago, is one of the star projects on OEC at the moment, with a TVL of $12 million and over 700,000 transactions. Another star project, CryptoBlades, dominated the GameFi market in the past 3 months, according to OEC partner DeepRadar. Celestial, a GameFi project that has been booming in the past few months, announced a major UI update announcement. CherrySwap, CyberCat GameFi, and Melee Game announced their roadmap for 2022, and they show huge promises for users. And lastly, Endless Battlefield is now available for download and play via Steam. A huge unrest that was sparked when Kazakh government spiked fuel prices started on January 2nd and quickly spread to other parts of the country. Now, I don't want to get into the politics, but we need to talk about the direct impact of political instability in Kazakhstan to cryptocurrencies, more specifically to Bitcoin mining. After China's ban on Bitcoin mining last year, miners set up shop in Kazakhstan due to low electricity costs, and that made the country to account for around 18% of the global hash rate in Bitcoin mining. However, on January 6, the president of the country ordered a shutdown of internet connection countrywide, so the hash rate dropped by 14%. The good thing is that Bitcoin network continued operating as usual even with the dropped hash rate. The price of Bitcoin has been around $40,000 to $42,000 range in the past week. Now it's time for the news about the Metaverse. The government of China's most crowded city, Shanghai, is exploring the use of Metaverse in public services over the next 5 years. According to Shanghai Municipal Commission of Economy and Information Technology's 5-year development plan for the electronic information industry, the government is encouraging the application of the Metaverse in areas such as public services, business offices, social entertainment, industrial manufacturing, production safety, and electronic games. Although the document does not provide clear timelines or goals, this news itself is really huge. China, a tough spot for cryptocurrencies, is beginning to open its arms to Metaverse. Such big companies as Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, Huawei, Hisense, and more than 1,400 other Chinese companies are rushing into the Metaverse and have already applied to register Metaverse-related trademarks. On January 3rd, Samsung unveiled its 2022 micro-LED, Neo QLED, and lifestyle TVs. According to the news, Samsung's 2022 smart TVs will have the new Smart Hub that will enable NFT platform for discovering, purchasing, and trading digital artwork. It will be the first smart TV NFT explorer and marketplace aggregator, and you'll be able to buy NFTs on your couch, as if you're not already doing it with your laptop or smartphone. Alright, these are the top selected news brought to you by OEC. Now on to the next part right after a short break. Welcome to the second part of our podcast, and today we have Nick Avramov, the co-founder of Symbiosis Finance. Welcome, Nick. Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me today. I was expecting our talk for more than 2 weeks. Finally, we're here, and let's make it out and let's start.
Yeah. So first of all, let me ask you about your project and the team behind it. Can you just briefly introduce the project and the team that's behind Symbiosis?
Yes, sure, sir. So, Symbiosis, in a nutshell, Symbiosis is you can think of Symbiosis as a Uniswap like DEX, but working not only on specific blockchain networks like Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, or some others, but simultaneously on all of them. So, from user experience, it comes like you can swap any random token on chain A to any random token on chain B. And now we are working on 7 main networks. It's Ethereum, OKEx chain, Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Avalanche, and Solana. And we are also planning to add all L2 solutions by the first quarter of this year. So we are now in a public testnet, and this month, January 2022, we are planning to go mainnet. It would be in the late January this month. And we are also aiming at adding all L2 solutions to our protocol. Plus, we are even thinking about more L1s. Some of them are like Solana, because for some specific reasons, because Solana is getting traction now, getting momentum at the moment, growing pretty fast. But we are also thinking about Terra, Cardano, and Polkadot. But I think later on we will add them as well in Q2 of this year, most probably. As for the team, so it's just a highlight of helicopter view of what we do. And for the team itself, so with the core team members, we've been working in the space for more than me, myself, I'm in crypto since 2016. So I did the master thesis on the use of blockchain technology in the logistics and supply chain management while I was studying in the business school. And we met with the core team members more than 4 years ago. So we've been working on different projects. So for instance, with Will, who is our CEO, and he is a mastermind behind our architecture. We met him 4 years ago when I was working in the small VC fund, Russian plus Israeli-based VC fund focused on financial technologies. And we were looking for contractor to build a prototype for electricity grid company, blockchain prototype. And Will, that was the story how I met Will, and since he was this contractor, and since the time we were constantly contemplating on the what we can do in this space, since we have different expertise. So me myself, I'm more marketing and operations focused guy. Will is more development guy. He's not developing himself, but he can arrange development groups of engineers, of architects, etc., etc. And so we were thinking about what we can do in the space due to our expertise. And first, we came up with the idea of actually Symbiosis, the thing that then became Symbiosis, first emerged in 2020 in September. We have arranged yet another Telegram chat to discuss for 5 of us, including Will, me, and 3 more guys. And we were thinking about synthetic assets, but to build synthetic assets across not only Ethereum, like for instance, Synthetics protocol does, but also across all other networks. So since we, and not only we are aware of all these gas fees in Ethereum, which is at this time, because in 2020 it was the rise of DeFi applications, and everybody saw this spike in gas Ethereum price, and we were thinking about somehow building synthetic assets across different blockchain networks to somehow minimize this gas costs. But then apparently we understand that the problem that we can potentially solve is even bigger, because as for now, there is no simple way to move liquidity across different chains. So it's not only about like swapping tokens between, let's say, Ethereum and BSC, Solana and Avalanche, even though like if you try to swap from Solana to Avalanche, let's say, it would be really hard task. Otherwise, you're going to centralized exchange, because at the moment, I'm not sure there exists bridges between Avalanche and Solana. I'm not sure there exists indexes on Avalanche and Solana that are compatible with each other, etc., etc. So we understood that the problem is really complex, and we started researching. And at some point of time, we came up with the idea that then became Symbiosis. So yeah, that was the story. So Symbiosis was first conceptualized in 2020 in September. Then we started coding in 2021 in January. So from the very beginning of the last year. And then we participated in Chainlink Hackathon in March. Then we finally presented proof of concept of what then became Symbiosis, because the name itself, we coined it, I think, in June last year, so very beginning of the summer. Then we did fundraise from different funds. So we are backed by blockchain.com, Bixin Ventures, Spartan Group, Dragonfly, lots of huge funds, and we are really appreciate what they do for us because they help a lot. And we released our public testnet in October to somehow let people and community play around what we do. Later on we had a public sale, and we are now traded on several chains, including OKEx, Bybit, Gate.io. And now we are here in January 2021, and we are preparing with the leaps and bounds towards our mainnet release this month.
Wow, what a story. You guys have been, in this thing for over 4 years now, 5 years. Wow, that's absolutely awesome. As I was going through your website, there is a thing that says you're forming a blockchain metaverse. So how do you guys do that? You can talk about that in a more technical sense and give more technical details on that?
Yes, of course. So it's not only my belief, but it is common shared belief of all Symbiosis members that there won't be a single winner in the blockchain race. So I'm not sure, even though Ethereum now have the leading position in the space across blockchain networks, I think in nearest future, let's say in 5 years, we will see that there will be 4 to 5 general purpose blockchain networks that will be still competing with itself, with among themselves. And it would be like the situation how, let's say, Microsoft competes with other different software companies like Amazon, for instance, or some others. So we'll see this. But also, apart from this, we'll see that there will be a still myriad of special purpose blockchain networks that are tailored to specific business needs and tailored to specific audiences. And still, the problem that I would say encompass blockchain since its very inception, the problem of interoperability is still here. So there is no way to there are no single point of access to blockchain metaverse, what we call blockchain metaverse. So all this spectrum of different blockchain networks, because on different blockchain networks, you can do different stuff. It's not only about providing collaterals, not only about loans, borrowings, different debts, loans, payment systems, etc. Something really huge can be built also on top of these different protocols. And the thing is that we are thinking about Symbiosis as not only a swap engine. Essentially, in the first approximation, Symbiosis is a swap engine. So we enable swaps between different blockchain networks, plus providing liquidity for this blockchain network. So once again, you can provide liquidity for different pools, different blockchain networks, like in Uniswap-like mode, but not only for ERC20 tokens, but virtually for any tokens. But on top of this, I also think that we can emerge in a sort of transport layer for the blockchain ecosystem. So you can think of, I like this metaphor, it's a bit buzzy, I think, but still, the metaphor of TCP/IP, the transport layer, transport protocol of the internet. If you come on the street right now and ask people what TCP/IP means, most probably you won't get an answer. At least in 50% you won't get an answer because people don't think about this. People are still using, even though they don't know what TCP/IP is, they're still using Facebook, Vchat, I don't know, Google, Baidu, Yandex and Russia search engine, and many more like applications on top of this, like Netflix, I don't know, any other streaming services. So all these are built on this essentially transport protocol, which is called TCP/IP. And so we are thinking about Symbiosis at least in some future point of time, that Symbiosis can become this transport layer for not just moving liquidity across different chains, but also passing code data across different chains. So let's say some event occurred on chain A, maybe big spike in Ethereum price or something else, and you simultaneously make a collateral on, let's say, Polygon or Avalanche, or take a short position on some other assets in different blockchain networks in a non-custodial, in a non-centralized way, not using like existing centralized exchange or something. So you are still a single owner of your funds while you are doing this. That's what really inspires me about this, and that's what we call blockchain metaverse. So it's all about like, previously, lots of financial companies, and not only financial companies, tried to, and they still trying to replicate the success of Vchat, because Vchat, it was the first successful super app. Super app, what does it mean? It's a messaging platform, plus it's banking platform, plus it's, booking platform. So you can do everything from a single application on your mobile phone. Before Vchat, nobody did this. And so now everyone tries to replicate and still. And so we are thinking that blockchain space really needs such an application. I don't know whether it would be in the form of mobile application, or it's still web application, or extension for browser, because they're also popular. In some way, we still need this sort of application that helps you to manage all your activity in the blockchain space. And that's what we are calling blockchain metaverse. And that's where we are going, Symbiosis.
The thing that you mentioned regarding Vchat, yes, you're absolutely right. This is one of a kind app where you can do almost everything there, whether you want to book a hotel ticket or you want to make a payment. So yeah, it's a super app. And your idea of creating a metaverse in blockchain, that makes sense. However, it got me thinking about the barriers or the problems that you might encounter. For instance, the high costs of having it, and of course security, and the complexity of building such a huge metaverse. I mean, regarding security, for instance, if we consider the past occurrences or past incidents where hackers were able to exploit the weaknesses in the system and were able to get their hands on the user funds. So how do you plan to get around these problems?
Yes, sure. So along this way, so basically, just to reiterate, Symbiosis in the first approximation, we solve two problems. So first is liquidity fragmentation across different blockchain networks, plus poor user experience. I would say even awful user experience while working with Web3 and DeFi. And so to ensure that the high security standards are met, we're using like battle-tested cryptography primitives. We're using threshold signature scheme and MPC. And what does it mean? So threshold signature scheme is a cryptography primitive that helps to split private key into separate parts, so that no single party in any exact point of time possesses the whole key. And it's pretty, so we are using Binance library at the moment, Binance TSS library. And it was done intentionally because, yes, as you already mentioned, so for instance, one of our competitors, I don't want to name this project, but still, it's very huge, it's very cool. We are big, I would say, big fans of this protocol still. And they get this exploit because they were using newly created TSS library. They developed it themselves, but they didn't yet tested it. And so that was a reason for the exploit. On the other hand, we are using Binance TSS library, which is pretty battle tested. And we're not sure that, so we're still working on the advancement of this library, on the some more security thresholds to add to this library, etc., etc. But still, it's working, so we are thinking that that would be fine. Plus, we are coupling it with NPC, so that actually we have a network of layers that actually process the swap. So we don't use oracles or something. We have this network of relays that's totally decentralized. This network of relays have to have some consensus on the particular transaction in order for the transaction to take place. So that's why we are saying that we are having this TSS coupled with MPC multi-party computation security. Plus, on top of this, we're also adding an economic incentive for the OS network nodes. And what does this mean? All the OS network nodes have to stake some amount of our native token, which is called SIS, and it's now publicly available, as I said, on different exchanges. And this amount that they have to stake is proportional to the volume that this particular OS network node can apply to and can process. So that there is no economic incentive to try to cheat us or fool us out, because in the case we investigate some sort of exploit or something, this particular node or this like range of nodes, they will be slashed for the amount they stake. And this amount is proportional to the amount that they try to process and try to keep to themselves. So there is no, strictly speaking, economic incentive to somehow cheat us. That's for the engine itself. And as I said, in the first approximation, we have these big plans for building, I would say, super app for all your necessities in the blockchain and DeFi and Web3 space. But in the first approximation, we are building this engine, and the security for this, as I said, is MPC plus TSS plus economic incentive. Also, we are thinking that some of the application that can be built on top of this, like payment networks or loans and borrowing protocols or something else, it's not necessarily need to be built by the team itself. So we think that Symbiosis can be used as a ground layer for third-party developers, and we're planning to issue and provide some grants, I think starting from the half of this year. So once we go mainnet in January, then we need to have some traction and integration with different wallets, etc. And so from the half of this year, let's say June or July, or I don't know, something like this, we will start providing grants so third-party developers and companies can build this application on top of Symbiosis and also contribute to the security of the system. So we are not thinking about ourselves as I would say, proprietary company that develops the code, etc., etc. We rather go into, I know that decentralized autonomous organization DAOs, they are still like a buzzy thing because everybody talks about this and everybody says we are DAO, etc., etc. But we don't have this approach. Yes, I would say we are going to a decentralized autonomous organization so that Symbiosis become at some point of time DAO. But we also understand that from the day one, from the decision-making perspective, from the growing, from integrations perspective, etc., it's not wise to become DAO from day one because it has some limitations for the speed of decision-making, for integrations, etc., etc. So rather than that, we are now operating in a, I would say, strictly speaking, startup mode or scale up also, because we are not just a startup, we also almost have a working product. So we are scale up and we are saying decentralized at the moment, not in terms of the protocol, because protocol itself is totally decentralized, but in terms of decision making, in terms of still we have a founding team, etc. But at some point of time, we are going to a pure decentralization so that the community can decide on which protocols integrate or not, which blockchain network prioritize or not, so that everything would be about voting, about contributing, etc., etc. Because as I really believe that what really sets apart really huge projects in a space and like mediocre projects. So if at some point of time our community can be as big as, let's say, Ethereum community, that would be really great success. But I understand that we need time for this. We need like 5 years, 6 years, 10 years for this. And that's fine. That's fine because we are not here for short-term gains. because we're thinking that the thing is either we do this, I mean, solve the problem of interoperability across different blockchain networks and becoming a standard for cross-chain communication, or at some point of time, some other people from, I don't know, from some maybe other country or I don't know, other region came and solved this problem. It's just a matter of time. But still, we are thinking that our know-how that we have, that we nurtured, that we developed, and at least in the last year, that will help us to outcompete all the competitors and become what we want to.
Let's take a step back from focusing on Symbiosis, and now let's talk about DeFi in a more general sense. Now, what do you think? What was a single event or a trend that happened in 2021 that you didn't see it coming?
I would say that it would be, let me think. I would say that for some people it was obvious, but for me, because I'm not like big fan of games, I did that before. Like I played games when I was a student in high school and also in the university, but now I'm not a big player of different games. Part of this because I don't have much time for this, but also because I'm not just big fan of this. So gamify and all this buzz about NFTs in gamify, gamification techniques to engage people to to sell some NFT, let's say for some protocols that that are building like arenas of gladiators or something, some different games, and you can also bet on this, and you can also be a visitor of these fights of different gladiators or something, and all this coupled with NFTs mechanics. So I didn't expect that it would have such a big popularity, I would say. I didn't really expect this. So I think that at some point of time, it would be still a niche story. And but apparently it comes that even big companies like EA Games, like Ubisoft and some other traditional, not just crypto companies, but traditional gaming companies, Blizzard, they are thinking about implementing all this mechanics. So I think that this trend, but I would say particularly I missed the emergence of this trend.
Yeah, there is a lot of potential in terms of GameFi and NFTs. It got me thinking, would you be interested in enabling GameFis and NFTs on your platform?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first thing I would say that yes, we are planning to make use of some of the game companies. I think I'm talking about their platforms. We are thinking about cooperating with a few, and we have already agreements for this, with a few GameFi projects, so that we use their mechanics to somehow distribute our tokens, so that it wouldn't be like airdrop or something, but it would be more engaging stuff for our users. We plan to do this actually. And for integrating NFTs and GameFi projects into Symbiosis protocol, it's a bit more tricky here because, to be honest, it's not the highest priority for us, because highest priority is to deploy mainnet this month and get some integrations. And why I'm talking always about integration, because I think that not only from the technical side, but also from business side, that's what sets us apart from nearest competitors. Because as far as I understand, most of our competitors, they provide some service on our website. They also, most of them, doing their mobile application. We also do. But the thing is, from very beginning, we understand that it's better to cooperate with different wallets and service hosts already in the market for some time, because they have huge user base and they have trust from their users. And trust is the ultimate, I think, value on our market, because we are talking about finance, financial markets, etc. And trust here is everything. And so that's why we're planning integration with them. So that's why integrating NFTs, it's not the top priority for us, at least for coming like 3 to 4 months. But then apparently we are thinking about, cross-chain NFTs. Some projects also work in this space, but they are thinking that if you can move your NFT across different blockchain networks seamlessly for different reasons, because the price for gas costs for something across different chain can be different, or you just wanna there would be some grant programs for performers to create their NFT slot to move their NFTs from one chain to another chain or something else. And if we have such a platform that helps to do this, that would be really huge, really crucial. And I think that at some point of time we can enter the space. So we have this plan, but it's not only for, I would say, for let's say 3 to 4 months. So most probably later on this year we were announcing some of these initiatives, maybe with some of our partners, like for instance, blockchain.com, who is our lead investor. They just released their NFT marketplace, I think in November. So they still run numbers in this game, because some other marketplace already exists for some time, like OpenSea, like Rarible, like some others, and the blockchain space still just entered, and maybe they would be interested in adding these new features quicker than everyone else. Also, regarding NFT market and GameFi, I think that the next, apart from just, that's totally, absolutely 100%, that's the trend for this year and maybe for coming years. But on top of this, I think that the potential of NFT and GameFi is even bigger. And I will tell you why. I think that at some point of time, all the content in on the internet would be distributed in some sort of NFT, because all the producers, all the content producers, the like movie makers, music performers, different artists, etc., they are interested in monetizing their content, and still piracy and content fraud, etc., are big problems of the industry. And I think that at some point of time, all the content would be distributed in some sort of NFTs. And here we have another problem, the problem of storage of this all this data, because to store, let's say, image NFT, that's not a big deal, because it has weight, I think, of up to 1 megabyte or something. But if you store like HD quality new movie made by Marvel, I don't know, some fancy comics movie or something, that would be several gigabytes. And it's not that easy to store it, at least now. So I think that I anticipate that in this year we'll see a big leap from the decentralized storage platforms, whether it be IPFS or storage or different other platforms. So I really think that when we have this intersection of first business needs from existing businesses and other businesses, I am thinking about not only the movie studios, but also the performers themselves, because they're doing business, they're selling something, plus combined with the advancement in the decentralized storages, so they can provide this service to store big amounts of data and transfer big amounts of data quickly in sorts of seconds and cheaper. And at this intersection, we will see a big boost. I think that would be the next really big thing, when NFT would be not just images, but music, videos, etc., and virtual reality on top of this. But I think it's next step. I think virtual reality and augmented reality will come to NFT most probably next year, or 2022 or 24 or something. Yeah, that's at least what I see. Not sure I would be precise in my predictions, but I expect this still.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about what your expectations were for the upcoming year, but you have already given your answers to that. So I really appreciate that. And your ideas regarding NFTs being not only GPX, but also the movies, music, and all that. Yeah, it makes sense. And of course, all the other content creators, they want to monetize their contents. So therefore, making them NFT and selling it to the public will make it a huge market. It will bring a lot of new money to the market, and honestly, I feel the same way. Honestly, I think that the future for NFTs is really bright. Well, I'm afraid this is the all the time we have for our podcast today. Thank you for taking the time to come on here and talk about multi-chain, about Symbiosis, and the future.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me, and appreciate this.
To learn more about Symbiosis Finance, check out the show notes of this episode. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.